Welcome into another edition of the On the Mic podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pendleton. We are back after a brief layoff. A little darker today because the hurricane came through New Jersey and knocked my power out. But if I needed any electricity, this man's voice brings it inside the octagon. I'm honored to call him a friend and happy to welcome on the video version of this podcast, the On the Mic show. It is the one and only Bruce Buffer. Sir, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
Great. Now, it's kind of ironic because the first time we ever did an interview was before the first Stipe Miocic-Daniel Cormier fight. And here we are 3 years later. The trilogy's right around the corner. It's next weekend. We've all four of us have come a long way. How excited are you for this trilogy?
No, I'm very excited. You know, the shows, the UFC is doing a great job. Dana White, the powers that be, all the medical personnel involved are keeping us safe. And even though people have tested positive, you know, which you put 10, 20 people in a room, you can be assured 2 to 4 of them are going to be asymptomatic positive with what's going on right now based on all the statistics. So we have to be careful. We have to be safe. And I'm doing just that. I take this very seriously. But the shows have been extremely exciting. Lots of great fights. They got this great card coming up at 252. I will not be there this weekend announcing. I will be there for 252 and the 2 shows after. And then I'll be doing 3 shows in September, which I'm still waiting for the James Bond call to put the tuxedo in the bag to tell me where I'm going. It's either Vegas or Abu Dhabi, but you know, whatever it is, and I'll be there with bells on and give my 150% as I always do. But yeah, I'm very excited. When I say we as a team, and again, I give all the credit to Dana and everybody that he works with, we set the pace to show people in the world how you can have sports within reason. I don't think every sport applies to the way that the UFC does it for safety and protocol. I'll be very surprised if we even see football this year with all the talk going on. I'll be surprised if baseball even ends the season this year with everything going on. So let's just hope for the best. But very excited. I drive to Vegas or I fly to Abu Dhabi. And outside of that, I am not going to any airports, you know.
That was one of the main things I wanted to ask you about is because, you know, not everyone is all in on this, you know, with sports coming back and, you know, it's everyone's decision. We see in the NFL, players have opt-out clauses in their contract this year. What went in it for you? Obviously, not only in the job that you have, the role that you play in the UFC shows, but in the fact that you are also a person, you're a human, and you had to decide for yourself whether you wanted to take part in that. What was that process like for you to decide, not only do I want to be a part of this, but you're going to go to Abu Dhabi, you're going to be in Vegas?
Well, once I realized all the safety and protocol in place, when they announced the Tachi Palace show in April, I actually considered not going because there was so much unforeseen, unanswered questions. Then we did the Jacksonville, Florida show, and I didn't enjoy being in the airport and flying there, didn't enjoy seeing people disrespecting the safety and protocol that needs to be in place with masks and everything else, because that's being part of the problem, not part of the solution, and I'm part of the solution. I won't be anything else but went to Jacksonville, everything went smooth, and then came back, did the Apex shows, drove to Vegas, made it very comfortable for me. We get there, we get tested. You got to stay in your room for 24 hours. This is a no frills, no excitement type experience other than the show itself. You do the show and then you come home. Going to Abu Dhabi, the way that it was planned for us to get over there, again, the safety put in place. I was tested once in Vegas, then twice in Abu Dhabi, basically 3 times in 3 to 4 days, and sequestered and quarantined for that whole period of time before I could walk out of my room. And then Abu Dhabi is beautiful. There's not a lot to do, but there is a lot to do. And maybe it'll open up more on the next trip back, but everybody enjoyed themselves. And we stayed at a very fine hotel and put on some great shows. So I'm embracing it. You have to embrace things. And if you don't embrace it, then you shouldn't do it.
You mentioned baseball and football, 2 sports that don't have a bubble right now. We see the NBA has come back. They have a bubble. Major League Soccer came back. They have a bubble. WNBA has a bubble. Hockey has a bubble. And Dana White, after Contender Series, which finally came back last night, he talked about sports they're not going to be able to survive without a bubble. As being a part of the UFC's bubble, would you absolutely agree with him on that?
Yeah. I mean, look what's happening. You got the Philadelphia Eagles coach Peterson testing positive. You got all these other people testing positive. Again, UFC showed people the way it should be done. That's the way it should be done.
Now, one of the things I've carried since our very first conversation, I kind of want to have you go back to it because I think it applies more than any other time in history right now. And that's your life theory of BSC. when we're going through this pandemic and you see people go up and down and maybe bail on their dreams or bail on things that they want to do and things that they're unsure of. You talk about ball skills and confidence. How do you think that applies more than ever right now during this pandemic?
Well, it applies very strong because you should be doing the right thing. You should be doing the right thing for yourself. You should be the right thing thinking about, okay, it's not just you getting infected, but it's the people around you. You need to follow the rules, safety protocol. You know, you can say CNN this, Fox this, whatever. The bottom line is, if you read and see everything that's out there and available, you know what you have to do to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. This is a long fight. We're in a war. It's not going to end anytime soon. It's very tough on a lot of people. And again, you have to do what you have to do. No question. I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but there's no secret. It's very obvious what you have to do to get through this.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you absolutely answered my question. And as a man like yourself who has many jobs and you do many things, I know people, I believe you're on Cameo now, right?
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of cameos.
A lot of cameos. So I'm going to plug that here for you. If you're looking to get a video from Mr. Bruce Buffer, go on to Cameo and purchase yours. But how do you stay busy? And you said you're not going into airports and obviously you have the UFC shows. What is Bruce Buffer doing? Are you playing more poker? Like, what are you doing?
Well, I play online poker, of course, but I have a lot of hobbies. You know, I collect a lot of stuff from antique weaponry. I'm not a shooter, to sports cars, you name it, all this different kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm an incessant reader. I'm a movie buff. I train incessantly. I've been getting in the best physical and mental shape possible during this whole period. I didn't need to lose weight, but I wound up losing like 20 pounds. And I'm in the better shape than I was 30 years ago. So bottom line is I just say embrace it. Become the best you can. Become as strong as you possibly can.
Well, it's always great catching up with you. I got to give you credit every time there's a UFC event. You know, I'm always pointing you out to the family. I'll say this. You know, you talk about being in the best physical shape of your life. My uncle, who's never watched fights before in his life, is now watching every Saturday. And,
awesome.
You know, it brings like a new bonding experience for a lot of people, a lot of new lessons learned and a lot of new experiences. Do you think that in the long term, whether it's other commissioners calling up Dana White or just seeing how the UFC continues on throughout this whole thing, that, you know, people should look at the UFC as kind of like the start back to, listen, even though we're going through tough times, and I know they do a lot of great promos and cold opens for the pay-per-views, but I think those and people like yourself being on these shows and John Anik, who I have a lot of respect for, the fact that you guys show up and come to work, even throughout this all, it's really a message for everyone in this world.
Yeah, well, you know, listen, I feel bad for the people that are suffering economically, not going to work, the kids not going to school, on and on and on. It breaks my heart. And we have to do. So you have an opportunity to work. And in our case, there's an adage in show business called the show must go on. You know, we're here to do a job. We accepted this job. We have to fulfill this job, but I'm not going to put myself in a position of not being safe. And thank you, Dana White, again, and the powers that be for allowing me to feel safe, to go to work. Sure, it's not aside from the fights, it's not the exciting, grandiose times. I mean, it is kind of Boy Scouts go to camp when we do these things. We see people we haven't seen since last week or the week before, but now we don't even really spend time together. You know, John Anik and I are like brothers. You know, we make sure we're tested and we're clean, and then we'll still keep our distance and enjoy a breakfast together and stuff. But this is the world in which we live right now, you know? So the important thing is not to let it get you down. Avoid the depression, the anxiety if you can. Train, work out, build those endorphins in your brain, those feel-good formulas, eat correctly, do everything you need to do. Do not let this affect you in a negative way if at all possible. Try to stand above it so that when the doors open again, just like the gates of a horse coming out of the Kentucky Derby, you come out of that gate stronger than ever. And that's what I try to impress upon everybody. Be a role, like I say on my podcast, be a role model to your sphere of influence and lead by example. Wear your mask, wash your hands. If you're not going to do that, then you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution.
And like you said, when we first started talking, be a part of the solution. That's what you are. Before I let you go, since this was the first time we talked and now we're at the trilogy, everyone is saying it, is the winner of Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, Part 3 at UFC 252, is that the greatest heavyweight of all time?
I think that's very possible. Yeah. When you realize everything put in, when you realize DC's career and Stipe, who I'm a huge fan of, you know, it's amazing. But yes, that could be a title that's put on, and we'll see what people do.
Well, I want to give you all the credit in the world, not only for taking time out and joining me today. I know you're very, very busy, but the fact that you continue to come in empty crowds in Abu Dhabi or in Vegas or wherever it may be, Jacksonville, you still bring 150%. You still bring your loud, passionate energy, and nothing feels better during this pandemic than to hear you say it's time, and I'm not just blowing smoke. Again, you're on Cameo, so people can go to cameo.com. Get their cameos from you, Bruce Buffer. They can also listen and subscribe to your podcast, the It's Time podcast with Bruce Buffer. Am I missing anything else, sir?
Well, in 3 weeks, Puncher's Chance Bourbon comes out on the market, my new bourbon line.
I need to get it. I need to get it. Puncher's Chance Bourbon.
This is the highest quality bourbon on the market. I'm telling you, this is so incredible. We've secured tens of thousands of cases, 50 to 100,000 cases, the finest barrels rather, of the finest Kentucky bourbon. I love the name. It's all about that one punch that can change your life. I'm all about the underdog. So this is my big project. My partners and I have spent over a year putting this together, and it's coming out, and it's going to be gangbusters. Now follow me on Instagram at Bruce Buffer UFC on Instagram, and you'll know when it's coming out. I'll announce a website that you can order from if you're not living in one of the 8 states we're initially releasing in. All that information will be on Instagram, and listen to my podcast, and I'll tell you even more. Also, too, the cameo orders, I've been doing tons of cameos and loving every one of them, you know, because people are looking for entertainment at home. But you can also go to brucebuffer.com, and there's special pricing there for audio and video, championship introductions, weddings, birth of babies, you name it. I do everything upon request. Keep it classy. Write us and tell us your requests. My office will get back to you with info and fees. The fees are not large because I want to make everybody happy, but I do contribute partial proceeds to animal, children, and military charities. And that's, you know, we're trying to pay it forward here while we give people the entertainment they need to stay happy at home, or help them stay happy at home with everything else they're doing. I mainly wish you, Mike, stay safe and sane. Your listeners, please do the same. Thank all of you for supporting us at the UFC and supporting me. And I'm honored and truly, truly appreciative.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I didn't think I was going to add another alcohol to my quarantine collection, but as many Puncher's Chances as I can get, I will take one. And if you said 3 weeks, you'll hear from me in 3 weeks, letting you know when I get my hands on it.
Stay tuned. I'll have the website. You can order right to your house. It's if you like bourbon, it's incredible. I'm not a big drinker, but I enjoy bourbon when I do.
I don't, but if it's your line and I can support, and I know that you always get back to you know, the right places, and you've been so great to me, I will absolutely start drinking bourbon, and I'll get some Puncher's Chance. But Bruce Buffer, thank you as always, sir.
Thanks, my friend. You take care, Mike. Be good.
You as well.
Bye-bye.